There's been a surge of young fans coming into F1, and thanks to things like the Netflix show, Drive to Survive. What's been the most surprising part of that growth from your perspective as a leader?
I think it's the amount of growth, which is great because when it was first presented to the sport, it was like, yeah, it's going to just kind of be another shoulder programming TV show. We do them all the time. It's been a game changer for the sport. Of course, there's a lot of contributors to it, but if I had $1 for every time someone said Netflix got me into Formula One, it would be amazing. What it did do, if you looked at where the sport was pre-Liberty's acquisition and where the sport needed help, was women, youth, and North America. If you kind of think about the geographic demographics of where Formula One needed to kind of pick up the pace, if you'd like. And Netflix, I think you got to give a lot of credit to, now the most often time I'm going through the airport, the most common comment I get is from a female who says, I never watched Formula One before and I love it. Or a husband who says, my daughter. It's been amazing, the audience that Netflix has brought to Formula One. So we now have the world covered because North America was a weak spot for the sport for many years. And our demographic, which, every sport wants, every consumer product wants, which is effectively what we are, is you want tomorrow's audience today, and that's the youth, and you want a diverse fan base. And when you come down to, the almighty spending power of consumers, you want a nice a balance that represents the world. And so that's I think what surprised me is it grabbed those audience and geographies, but how big it made it. It's like, we're not just on the map in North America now. We're big in North America, and it's super cool.
Yeah, it is cool. And, for someone who's just getting into the sport, what's one detail or nuance that you should be paying attention to that'll give you a deeper appreciation of racing?
Well, I think it's a great question because it's something that I've been a bit vocal with on Netflix and the broadcast. If we look at how we need to evolve our fans and grow our fans, our sport, the technology in it, the strategy behind it is insane, unlike any other sport. And I think, you've got different levels of sophistication and interest in technology. So we need to kind of tee it up at the right level or right levels, depending on our audience. But if people had an even greater understanding and insight to what these race cars and race car drivers do, like the sheer speed, like it's impossible to actually describe to someone how fast these race cars are. But there's ways you can do that. The amount of technology, we talk in terabytes. And I remember the first time it was like, I nod like I know what a terabyte is, but actually I didn't at the time. So I was like, kind of give me terabytes for dummies. And it was, Zach, that's like 10 million documents. It's like, wow, that's how much data we pull off of a race car to race weekend. So I think if we can now that we've got the fans interested, they love the drama, the on track, the 20 drivers, the teams, but show them really how our sport operates, but pitch it at the right level of interest level. I think people would be fascinated if they knew kind of what I was looking at during a race on pit wall.
Wow. McLaren Racing is involved in more than just Formula One. It'd be great if you could just give us a snapshot of the broader business and all you're responsible for as the CEO.
We're a Formula One team. We're an IndyCar team, currently a Formula E team, and now going to become a World Endurance Championship team, which is Le Mans. I'll go back to why. So obviously the center of our universe is Formula One and always will be. However, North America is one of, if not the most important market for most companies, huge fan base, great economy. And until Formula One took off in North America, we wanted to have a competitive difference to our other Formula One rivals with our fan base and with our corporate partners and have a bigger presence in North America. Even though Formula One's taken off in North America, we still want to be bigger in North America than our competition. So it's kind of the rationale behind why we're in IndyCar, racing. The World Endurance Championship, which is the 24 Hours of Le Mans, we've just announced entry into, we're going to go into in 2027. That's where all the automotive sports car manufacturers play. You see our competitors, the Ferraris, the Lamborghinis, the Aston Martins, the Porsches, and it's a natural racing series for us to really collaborate closely with our automotive business. So that's why we're in the World Endurance Championship. You put those three together, you have what's called the Triple Crown, which we're the only team to have ever won the Triple Crown, which is the Indy 500, the 24 Hours of Le Mans, and the Monaco Grand Prix. But we did it in different eras, so kind of in different eras of our brand. We now are the only team in the world racing in those three huge, really the three biggest racing series. And so that offers us diversity of opportunity with fans, geographies, technologies, and for our corporate partners who, might go, hey, Zach, this is a priority market for us, or this is, we want to get closer to the automotive business. And so, it's kind of like we're a restaurant, and if you have something more than just one cuisine on the menu, you got a greater chance to appeal to a bigger audience. You'll know something about
that. I'm curious.
I just walked into that one. I didn't prepare
you're good.
That one.
You're good. I can see why you're where you're at. But you mentioned F1, Formula One taking a little longer to really develop here in the United States. Why was that? And then as a leader, how do you think about tapping into this opportunity now and really getting to explode here?
Kind of three primary reasons why we hadn't been popular in North America. One, we never really found a permanent location, dating back to the 70s. You were Long Beach, then you were Watkins Glen, then you were Dallas, then you were a parking lot in Vegas for 2 years, then you were Phoenix, then you took 5, 6, 7, 8 years off. There was no Formula One North. Then we came back to Indianapolis, then we had this tire gate, as we called it. So we didn't put on a good show. Then we disappeared again. So you're not going to have any sport be popular in North America if you're not there or you have no date or location equity. We also were a sport that was very exclusive, or perceived to be very exclusive and not very inclusive. And that's where when Liberty came in and acquired the sport, they went, well, the sport's huge, but it doesn't really engage with its fan base like the NBAs, the NFLs, the MLBs, or even the Premier Leagues. It was kind of look but don't touch. And I think that was fine for a long time, but now when we're in an era of engagement, not awareness, we weren't engaging with our fans. We weren't letting them inside. We were look, don't touch. And so when Liberty bought it and you had the Netflix come in, we started kind of letting people see behind the curtains. People went, wow, this sport's awesome. I've never seen that before. I've never been close to it before. Then we get, over time, 3 races, started with Austin, which is one of the best Grand Prix on our calendar. So, you went from being not here exclusive to here inclusive and very focused on engagement. And I think what Formula One has learned and continuing to learn is sport is entertainment, and you'll hear sometimes in Formula One where we go, no, we're not entertainment. It's like, well, as far as I'm concerned, if you buy a ticket to sit in a seat to watch a movie, a motor race, a baseball game, a rock concert, a fireworks show, you're going to be entertained. And I think the sport has now embraced that there's an entertainment aspect of what we do, and the fans are responding accordingly.